Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am so excited for this video because we are finally going to be talking about the new Natasha Denona Chromium liquid eyeshadows. When I saw the reveal of these multi-chromes, I was so excited. I ordered them as soon as they became available on Sephora, and I have been testing them out all week so that today I can give you guys my full thoughts. I am going to go through in this video and start off by just talking about the shades that I got, kind of doing some quick swatches, talking about the formula, and then I'm going to jump into a very detailed list of my pros and cons to buying these particular eyeshadows, just because I do have sort of mixed feelings on them, so I want to really lay it all out there for y'all in case you are trying to decide whether to purchase it or not. And then at the end of the video, I'm also going to be doing a bunch of comparisons to other multi-chromes I already have in my collection, because as an indie makeup lover, when I purchased these, the question at the forefront of my mind was, how are these going to compare to my other indie multi-chrome eyeshadows? So let's just go ahead and jump right on in. Alright, so here are the liquid shadows. I did go ahead and pick up 3 of the 5 shades available. I believe these are on Sephora and also Beautylish, if I remember correctly. So these are $28 each, and the thing that immediately surprised me about these particular liquid shadows is how tiny they are. They are super small. They are exactly 0.08 ounces. And if you're at all familiar with the previous liquid eyeshadow that Natasha Denona came out with, the Chroma Crystal liquid eyeshadows, you can see the size difference here, and there's also 0.27 ounces of product in this, so it is over triple the amount for basically the same price. I know multi-chrome pigments cost more, but it's just something I wanted to point out because I was definitely surprised at how small it is. The first shade that I have is called Scarab, and I absolutely love the colors that are in this multi-chrome. It's kind of a mixture of blue, green, gold, and it has like a really vibrant teal shift as well. This one in particular, I would say, has like a light greeny gray base to it. So there is what that looks like swatched out. I feel like of the 3 shades I have, this one is the most opaque, and then next I have the shade Dragonfly, which is what I have on my lids today, and it is a really beautiful pinky orange gold shifting shade. I don't feel like this one is super unique. There's so many multi-chromes out there in this color family. This one has a little bit more of like a light gray base to it. And then lastly is the shade Ultraviolet, and this one I would say has a pretty strong gray base, and then it has flips of green, magenta, and purple. I feel like Ultraviolet and Dragonfly are both a little bit more on the sheer side. I personally felt when I added them to the eyes, I definitely had to go in with 2 layers. So just to show you really quickly, you can see the shift there a little bit better when I use the mirror. Different colors going on. Okay, so like I said, I have a pros and cons list because sometimes when I do reviews, I feel like I can get all over the place. So let's just go ahead and start off with the positives. We'll start off with the pros. The first thing that I feel is the biggest pro about these particular liquid shadows is that there is such a convenience to having something that feels super unique and different, and being able to walk into a Sephora and purchase it and swatch it, even though you can't swatch it right now. But just in general, the idea of being able to do that in person, or even to be able to ship it and have it within a few days, I feel like there's definitely a huge convenience factor to these shadows compared to a lot of indie brands where it's going to be a longer processing time, a longer shipping time. You won't have the convenience of being able to see it in store or have easy returns. I do have to say that I think they are really beautiful. My personal favorite shadow, and the one that I recommend most if you were wanting to try one of these, would definitely be the shade Scarab. I think it is really stunning on the eyes. I feel like there's no denying that it is a beautiful shadow. Do I feel like it's super unique? No. We'll get to that in a moment, but it is beautiful. I wrote that down as a pro. And then I also put down that one of the good things about this particular formula is that it does dry down all the way. And if you rub your eyes, only a tiny little bit of shimmer will come off. Even if I do this right now, can show you. I mean, I'm not like going in super hard, but nothing's really coming off. So I do appreciate that. If you are someone who is a little bit harder on your face and you just rub your eyes a lot, then this formula could possibly be a benefit for you. Jumping into the cons, although some of these are a little bit more personal preference, the first one that I wrote is that I do need 2 layers for opaque coverage. I think it just depends on personal preference, because when I do 1 layer, I feel it looks okay. You wouldn't be able to tell that I have a little bit of skin peeking through unless you got super up close. but as someone who does take up close pictures and stuff, that's something I would definitely notice. And for me, I feel like I would need 2 coats, and I remember them specifically saying it was like a 1 swipe and done. I don't really feel like it is. I think it takes a little bit longer. I think you have to kind of perfect it and go over it and build it up a little bit. And you also have to be careful about how it dries down, because if it is still wet and you look up, it is going to transfer. I made this mistake, and I had like Scarab all the way up to my crease here, and it was just a hot mess. So if you are using this, I definitely recommend taking a minute and sitting like this, as silly as it feels, and letting the shadow dry down completely. Another thing that I've noticed from doing wear tests for all the shades is that they seem to start fading after about 5 to 6 hours, a little bit shorter than I would like, because typically powder shadows last really, really well on me. So I did want to note that as well. Some more things to add would be that it is a more expensive formula. It's the most expensive that I've seen for any multi-chrome. So that's just throwing it out there, that even though it is more convenient, there are definitely cheaper options available. And also, while we're here, their claim that this was the first eye safe liquid multichrome was just a straight up lie. What terrible marketing. I really am not about that, and I wish that they would correct themselves, because it's not the truth. Like, it's just not. But anyways, I digress. So adding on to it being more expensive, it also is liquid, so it is going to go bad faster than a powder eyeshadow would. I'm not sure exactly how long it's really going to take for these to dry out. On the tube, I believe it says 18 months, but it's so small that I can't tell. I'm going to like zoom in and use a magnifying glass or something later, and I'll correct myself on screen if it is something other than 18 months, which is not terrible, but that shelf life is nothing compared to a powder shadow. So it is, again, something I wanted to mention as a con if you're trying to decide whether to purchase these or maybe invest in some really cool indie shadows. And then the last con that I have is actually kind of related to the reason why I purchased this and how it goes against that. Basically, whenever I saw the initial eye swatches for these shadows, I was sold. I thought they looked so beautiful, especially, like I said, Scarab. It looked like the most electrified eyeshadow. I don't even know how to explain it. It was just like glistening off the eyes. I was like, that texture is incredible. I was so excited about it. And I will say that when you first put these down, they do look extra special. And I know it's so dumb, but it's literally just because they're wet. When they dry down, I feel like they end up looking as if they have the same finish as a powder shadow. I don't really feel like they look like anything that special texture-wise. Whereas the eye swatches that I saw Natasha Denona do, right as they were applied, I was like completely taken away. I was breathless. I was like, I need to spend my money on those no matter what. And personally, I feel like, again, when they dry down, they're still beautiful, like I said, but they're just not as like crazy spectacular as I thought they were going to be. So before we get into the comparisons, I just have to go ahead and throw out my quick unpopular opinion, and that's going to be that I just feel like so many people are going to see these and they're going to be so used to buying makeup at just Ulta and Sephora and be completely blown away. I already saw someone talk about this in an Instagram story. They're like, I've never seen anything ever like this before, and I just feel like there is a whole nother world out there of eyeshadows that deserve the love that I feel like these are going to be getting. And the other eyeshadows specifically that I'm thinking about in my head are less expensive, and you're supporting small business. I feel like I'm a little bit biased because I love my small indie makeup brands so much. But I just don't know if I would recommend purchasing these because there's so many better alternatives out there for less. So before I show you the comparisons, I have to mention that I feel like there is a spot-on dupe that is a powder eyeshadow formula that is so similar to these. Unfortunately, I don't have them in my hands today because I did let my friend borrow them, but the Clionadh Deep Iridescent Multichromes, they have multiple shades that are extremely similar to these, and they also have more of a light gray base, which is what these have. They have a light gray, light green base kind of going back and forth between them, which I think makes them look a little bit softer on the eyes, and they don't look as smoky, which I love. But the Clionadh Deep Iridescent Multichromes are the exact same way. They are so similar. I'm going to leave my video about those shadows in my cards right here so you can check that out because they are so similar. I wish I had them today to do comparisons, but unfortunately I don't. So now let's go ahead and jump into some other multichromes that I have. First, I wanted to do some comparisons to Scarab. So I've got some different blue, green, gold multichromes. I guess I should go ahead and do this on my arm to make it a little bit easier. Actually, Man, I don't even know what I'm doing. I've got minimal swatching space when I think about the fact that I don't have any wipes with me right now. But anyways, first we have this shade right here, which is called Mood Ring from Terra Moons. It's one of my favorite multi-chromes ever, but this, I feel, it does have like that green and teal shift to it, but it doesn't have the gold that Scarab has. This can look similar in certain lightings, but not all of them, so it's not a spot on dupe. And then I have this shade here, which is called Celesta from Divina Cosmetics, and this is one of those like yellow, green, golden shifty shadows. I didn't count this as a true multichrome in my recent multichrome video because it does not have the black base to it. You can kind of see how it compares to Scarab there. Again, kind of similar coloring, but the shade from Divina doesn't have the same exact teal shift to it. And I'm just doing color comparisons to help y'all out, but honestly, there's so many multichromes that are so beautiful, even if they're not exact spot-ons. I feel like you don't have to run out and spend $28 to have these. But anyways, I also have this shade called Rainbow Blossoms from Divina, which again kind of has that yellowy green gold shift to it, but this one has a little bit more of the teal going on, so there's some different, I wouldn't say dupes, but alternatives. Some comparisons for Dragonfly. I have two more shades here from Divina. This first one is called Magellanic, and I feel like this one is very, very similar. So there's what Magellanic looks like. You can see that the pink shift is very similar. Magellanic doesn't have the same kind of bright golden shift, so in certain lightings it's not going to again be the exact same, but that one is very, very spot on. I feel like you'd get the same exact look between those two shades. And then I have one more from Divina just to compare for the heck of it. So there's what Cygnus looks like. Again, very similar, but that one has a little bit more of the gold going on. I also wanted to go ahead and mention one of the glimmer gels from Kristen Lee Cosmetics. This is the shade Reality Check, and I feel like this is kind of similar to Dragonfly, and it would give a very similar look on the lids. This is a like gel shadow, which feels super weird to swatch, but I'll just go ahead and do a little swatch right here for you. This one, gosh, that's not a good swatch. It's a little bit more sheer. I personally have to go in with 2 layers. But again, I feel like this is going to give you a very similar color, except that one's going to have a little bit more texture to it because it's very sparkly. And for the shade Ultraviolet, I have the shade Twisted Shifter from Sydney Grace Cosmetics. I feel like this is a very similar color. The Sydney Grace one, I think, has a little bit more of a deeper base, but overall the purple to green gray shifts. I think you could get pretty similar looks out of either of those. And then just for the heck of it, even though I'm not that much of a pigment kind of gal, I do have the Dawn Eyes Cosmetics pigment in the shade Magical to compare to that one as well. So there is what Magical looks like. It's a little bit less intense, but it's a similar shift. So those are the comparisons I wanted to show you specifically today, and just encourage you again, if you do want to try these, I lost one of them, but they are not a bad formula by any means. They are nice shadows. I would say I don't think that they're worth the price, and if I had to do it all over again, I would just purchase Scarab and I would forget the other ones. I did also want to give you a quick little tip that if you are wanting to use the multichromes you already have or purchase multichromes that are pressed powders that are a little bit less expensive, something you can do is switch up the formula a little bit if you're into that kind of liquid metallic look. There's a bunch of products out there, but just offhand what I personally own, the NYX Glitter Primer is one of the best to really make your shadows pop, and it's so tacky. If you've never tried this for a shimmer, then you are missing out. That's all I can say. It will really, really help. That's the least liquidy of the bunch, but also I would say the most user-friendly. And then there's also a bunch of different liquid mixer options available. I do have the Inglot Duraline, although that one is not cruelty-free. But 2 cruelty-free options would be the pigment drops from Peaches and Cream Cosmetics, which you could mix in. It's similar to the Inglot Duraline. I kind of like the Inglot one a little bit more, if I'm being honest, but this gives a similar look, and like I said, that one's cruelty-free. And then I also have the MBA Cosmetics Glitter Foil and Liner, which you could use to mix, and it's super convenient because it's just a little dropper, or you can use that as a typical glitter primer and just apply it to your eyes and then apply the shadow on top, and it'll be nice and tacky. Just to give you a few ideas if you were wanting to get this look for a little bit less. Also, I know I shouted her out recently, but my friend Millie from Bad to the Brow did also do a full review on all 5 shades and do amazing eye swatches. She captured shifts on camera that I don't even see in real life, so I will make sure to leave her video down below for your reference. Alright guys, so that is everything for today's video. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to let me know down below. I tried to think of what I could for this, but I'm sure I missed something, so like I said, I'm always stalking the comments trying to respond to everything. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. If you have not subscribed yet to my channel and you enjoy my content, please do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.